Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. So it's been about a week and it's time for the garden tour. So I'm going to walk around and I'm going to show you what's blooming and what's about to bloom, and I hope you enjoy it. If you're enjoying my channel so far, please subscribe, like my video, give me a thumbs up, hit that notification bell to get notified anytime a new video comes out. Alright, let's go for a walk and stroll through the garden. So I want to start today's tour in the Protege Garden because it has been bringing me lots of joy and abundance lately. You can see the vines that are climbing up the trellises in the back there. Those are the angel wing gourd vines. So I'm hoping to have some of those this fall to be able to use for decoration. I think those will be really pretty. I have a rose here that's been in this garden since I moved in, so I don't know what it is. It's by Jackson and Perkins. I at least found the little tag from it, but it actually smells really nice, so I assume it's some kind of an older school rose rather than a hybrid or something like that. These blue drumstick alliums over here, they are a true blue and they are gorgeous. They are not even in their full splendor yet, so I think that when they are, it's going to be even more spectacular, and I'm definitely going to be moving these to an area where I can really enjoy them more, because they're kind of tucked in with my sweet peas right now, which have been giving me some nice peas. I've been eating them off just about every day and snacking on them as I walk through the garden. I'm also starting to get some peppers from these hot and heavy pepper plants here. You can see right in here I have one that's pretty full grown, and then lots more that are coming. This plant over here, try if I see if I can sneak in here, has quite a few on it. Look at those. And I'm still just loving this smoke tree here, and the way that it is growing. My onions are getting really big, and the rabbits have been eating my chard, but not my tomatoes. So I have some glacier tomatoes over here, and I have some good-hearted tomatoes right here, and I'm excited to start getting some of those soon. And then I have a whole bunch of basil plants that are back here that are getting going really well as also. So I wanted to show you how just about, I think it was 6 days ago, I cut back this Nepeta Walker's Low, and I'm probably going to replace that this year with the Cat's Meow or the Cat's Pajama Nepeta, because of the fact that it's more compact, and that will mean less maintenance for me. It will give the same effect and look and color, but it will not be so assertive in the garden that I have to cut it back as much. And the same for this one as well. This is the other one that I had to cut back really significantly, and again I'm probably going to replace those, so I'm going to be on the lookout for some of those plants this season. My dianthus are still looking really nice, and my cone flowers are full of buds. Full. And these phlox, you guys, they are just so spectacular still. And I didn't mention this last time, but these lower ones, the opening act first blush, these actually have a scent to them. There's a lot of plants these days that have been hybridized and they don't smell good at all. They just have no scent whatsoever. But these do, which I absolutely love about them. Something I wanted to point out in this bed is that the roses that I recently planted are starting to put on some new growth. It's a little hard to see, but these red tips here, that's all new growth. since planting them, so that means that they're adjusting well to where they're at. And then the other thing that's exciting in this bed right now is that I have seen my first dahlia bud. So here it is. Hopefully nothing eats it. I think there's a few more that are behind that one, so super excited. I can't wait to see those. Does anybody else have dahlias that are blooming yet? My golden ticket privets right here, they're starting to bloom as well. I had to come in for a sniff. I can't smell them quite yet. We'll see. Okay, so this bed over here is looking pretty good. I did some cutting back recently, just like some deadheading of the ajuga in here, because as the ajuga flowers die, they kind of look a little bit yellow. And so I've trimmed that back, so it's starting to look a little bit neater in this bed again. And you can see I've taken some of my winter sown petunias and started to tuck them into this bed. Some of them are starting to bloom, these cream colored ones right here. And these should be like wave petunias. And then I also tucked some coleus in here as well. So I'm looking forward to some of these spreading. Hopefully the bunny rabbits don't eat them all. And this is my Bar Harbor Seaside hydrangea. And it is just starting to put on some buds. And I have another one that's over here that's even further along and is a little bit more mature. Both of these were bought on clearance, and they are very healthy now. So look at that. Look at all the buds on that one. This is a hydrangea arborescens, so it's the smooth form. And I really like them. They're very pretty. And all of my lungwort are filling back in again over here. So that looks nice. And my shade baskets above the ferns and the hostas are starting to fill out. So those are looking really nice as well. I actually have a rose coming up over here. It definitely looks like it has a little bit of chlorosis, but this is just basically like a volunteer. I am going to have to figure out where to plant it because it's definitely going to get too much shade in this area to bloom ever. I have started pruning up my lemony lace elderberries, so you can see in the base here I started trimming out some of the lower branches because I really like providing a little bit more openness for light to come in, as well as the air, which will help to prevent, you know, any diseases. We do get prone to powdery mildew in my area because of the high humidity in the summer here. Let's look at how that glows. And the Hakone grass underneath of it is just glowing right now in the sunshine too. And they look very much like the Japanese maple, you can see, which is right next to it. The leaves are very similar in texture, so if you have difficulty growing a Japanese maple, you may want to try the elderberry. My ferns continue to change color and become much more noticeable back here, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm loving the look of this new hydrangea back here, the Annabelle hydrangea. I think it's filling this space nicely, and that just the pop of the light lime color, and even when it turns white, is going to be really nice. I'm glad I found that one. My red bud is starting to grow better. I'm hopeful that this year the roots will be strong enough that it will make it through the winter even better than last year. This variegated boxwood is looking pretty good. I'm happy with the new growth that's coming out on it. It's kind of hard to tell in the sunshine, but it definitely is more green than brown. It kind of glows in the sun so you can't tell, but I'm happy with how it's coming back so far. It's definitely been struggling, but we've gotten a little bit more rain, which makes a difference. I did cut back one of my geraniums, which is here, because this geranium basically had taken over and covered up this whole bed. And you can see it's already coming back through the center and pushing out new foliage, and it's going to fill this bed up rather quickly, but for now it's allowing some more sunshine and light and rain to get to those heucheras. You can see this one was starting to get dried out because it was covered up. The other thing that I'm excited about over in this area is my pieris. They're finally putting on some new growth. That's so cute. I'm so happy about that. I was worried that they weren't really happy where I had planted them and that I would have to move them. One of the other things that I'm thinking about in this area is about the grasses that I have in here. I think it's Carex, and I just am not sure that I like the look of the grass on the edge. What do you guys think? Maybe once I have it along the whole entire edge, I will like the look of it. Right now I'm feeling kind of like, I don't know, it looks a little bit sloppy to me, so maybe I will dig this one up and spread it out in the front, and it will look better once it's evened out to me. I swapped out this container over here the other day because it had an aronia bush in it, and the aronia was looking kind of sad, so I've planted it in the ground, which I'll show you, and have swapped it out for not a camellia, it is a mandevilla, and then a geum, and one of the wave petunias that is just starting to put on its blooms as well. So I think that's going to look pretty. It just wasn't doing very well. You can see, I think it was too hot for it in there and didn't have enough space for its roots, so I have put it and tucked it back in this corner, and I think it's going to be much happier. It's already starting to push out some new leaves after being here for just a couple of days. You can see the new growth on it. So I think that should be good. Some of my chives, after cutting them back, are actually reblooming. It doesn't always happen, but some of them are. I think I told you I was going to be moving one of my heucheras in this area, and that's this one right here. So it looks like it's a little bit sad, but I did just recently move it, so it probably needs a little bit more water after the heat of the day. But you also don't want to overwater. Now I'm probably going to prune back some of this climbing rose that is reaching out forward because I really want it to be growing up to the back, or I will have to try to pull them all up to this trellis so that it will grow up towards the back. But isn't that gorgeous? This is the Eden rose. So many petals on that one. Then over here, pretty cool to see some of the buds on this. I believe this is the double play red spirea, which to me looks more like a dark pink. especially when you look at it by the fruit punch dianthus there. But I like that. I think that's going to be really pretty. I can't wait to see it all in bloom. The new growth also are dark leaves. And then you can see my sun baskets are filling out even further. And look at this Japanese maple over here by my fountain, guys. It's definitely growing back and much happier this year. The color on it is gorgeous. I just love the contrast with the other foliage in this area. Isn't that nice? My urns are looking pretty good. I did end up cutting the tops off of the salvia, the Mystic Spire salvia that were in the middle there, just to allow them to produce some new blooms because they were almost done. And both of the side shoots are starting to produce buds, so I think that one's going to bloom again soon as well. And my Veronica are definitely still in full force over here. Did I say Veronica? Why do I keep saying that? You guys, these are penstemon. I don't know why I keep saying that. And my Oscar Peterson white roses over here are doing pretty well. I also wanted to show you an interesting combination. Just as an aside here, I have one other container over here that I did as kind of an experiment because I have the small dwarf cherry tree, and then under it I have planted parsley and pansies and a purple, I think it's called Royal Velvet Supertunia, and then this is cilantro that's actually bolting and going to seed now, but they have really pretty, really delightful flowers there. So I thought I'd show that to you just to, again, think about incorporating edible plants into your landscape because they can be beautiful as well. Look at all the buds on my All the Rage rose. So exciting. I also want to show you my clematis over here, which is flowering along the circle, and I'm not sure how well it is showing up for you on camera, but it is gorgeous. It's like a very deep purple, and it has trained itself up along the edges of this, and it has more buds as well coming. So just beautiful. I love it. I'm so happy that I have that one there. This Japanese maple over here is also doing pretty well. It's got a really gorgeous color to it. It's not quite as dark red as the Bloodgood, but the colors are definitely amazing. And my quick fire is starting to put on blooms. And there's my other sun basket. The lavender is starting to bloom. I think that's really pretty next to those pink diamond bleeding hearts. And then I have a couple of denim and lace Russian sage back there. And I just got 2 more for over here. So I think those are going to be really pretty to have along here. It'll give a little bit bigger of an impact with having more of them because they definitely look better en masse. Okay, so in this bed over here, my daylilies are starting to put on some buds. So it's definitely heating up in this area. You can tell that when the daylilies start to get ready to bloom, that it's just about summertime, right? And that is the Bordeaux Supertunia right there. I have some additional phlox that are growing up alongside the deck here, which are also gorgeous, billowy, poofy cloud of super phlox. They're amazing, you guys. I highly recommend them. And then my columbine are starting to come back. These are my granny rose bonnet. These are super pretty. And then the red Barlow columbine are also coming back and putting out some blooms. And I'm really glad that I cut these all the way down to the ground because the foliage was really ugly after the leaf miners had gotten to them. This was not pretty. And then you can see my Roseanne geranium back here is taking over. Isn't that amazing? They need a lot of space. All right, so we're gonna head in the front yard next, and you can see this geranium is taking over this bed as well, so I'll be cutting that back soon. But I do think it looks lovely right now. I don't want to let it get too much bigger than this because it will just start to smush over everything else. So I'm gonna cut it back in a few days. The elderberry is definitely done flowering, but that was a gorgeous display. This is the Acanthus mollis. A lot of people don't have these. It's getting ready to bloom, but look at that. It's gonna put up some spikes, and I will definitely show you what it looks like when it is in bloom because it's very different from most other plants. I'm definitely going to come through here and start cleaning up the daffodil foliage because it is flapping over and turning yellow, and it is the end of June, so they should have gotten plenty of nutrients by now, and it's just starting to look a bit messy. So it's time to clean those up for sure. But all of these hostas and the hellebores, look at the foliage. And the maidenhair ferns. All of the different colors of greens, blues. It's a very peaceful combination. All right, let's take a look at the bed all the way out front here. It's still looking very pretty. So you can see how long the dianthus and the salvia will put on a show for. And that's part of the reason why I picked them for my yard. I really like to find plants that give you that longevity throughout the season. It helps to make it a little easier to transition from one season to another. My alliums are really close to starting to dry out the seed heads. This is just how big they are. I'll put my hand underneath it so you can see. And then I'll be collecting those seeds, and I've had a couple requests from people to try to show when I actually come through and collect the seeds and plant them, so you can see what the process is that I use, and I will try and do that. The Veronica is just kind of finishing up right now, so probably in a little bit I'll do some deadheading on that. The thing that I like right now that's happening, and it's hard to see on camera I think, but the very thin spikes of the other alliums that I have that are getting ready to bloom here. You can see a little bit better as I get close up, a little bit more contrast there. And then the new growth on the orange rocket barberries, check that out. It's practically neon. What a color. And I'm really surprised to see that these deutzias are still blooming, the Yuki cherry blossom deutzias here. I didn't think they were going to bloom for that long. Now my powwow wildberry are definitely putting on their buds as well. And those are going to be really pretty. I love the color of those. They're just a much brighter pink than some of the just normal Echinacea purpurea. So here you can see some more of those beautiful alliums here. And they're planted all along the edge of this bed, similar to how the other alliums were earlier this spring. And then one on either side behind the barberries. So I tried to make use of the shapes of the bed and being able to just not plant in straight lines and kind of take advantage of the curves, and rather than just planting this way, also planting some curves this way and then using the center here. I hope that made sense. The Dreamland geraniums are looking pretty too. They have some pretty light pink blooms on them. And I'm getting very close to trimming these boxwoods. I'm almost ready. I need to show you all the backs of the mailboxes right now, because I know you probably thought the clematis that I showed you before was in full bloom, but it wasn't. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Look at the color. Such a deep maroon, velvet. Just like a stage curtain. And then all of these echinacea are about to put on blooms too. And again, I need to clean up the daffodil foliage here. That's next on my list. Not that I really have a list. And then this bed is starting to fill out a little bit. I got another poppy coming up. It's a different color. So I'm watching to see what all of them are as they come out. I think it's a mixture, the champagne bubbles mix. And I still have a few blooms left on this elderberry here. It's interesting because right now, after it flowered, some of the new growth that it's putting out is a light green, and then it's turning darker as it collects the sunlight. I really am looking forward to seeing this bud fill out more. It's really hard for me to look at right now with the different colored mulches and kind of the baby flowers, but this is how I start beds on a budget, using what I have, and over time I will let it fill in. So the peonies are just about spent. So I'll have to come out and prune back some of those as well. They were quite a beautiful show. And then the rest of the bed down here is really mostly coneflowers right now, getting ready to bloom. And they will put on an amazing show. So here you can see this end of the bed, just full of coneflowers ready to burst open any day now. And these dianthus, these pink pom-pom dianthus, just keep chugging away like the Energizer bunny of flowers. I love them. Look at them close up. Just adorable. And these liatris are really tall now. They're at about my hip level. And did I just call them dianthus or liatris? They're liatris. So they're gonna put on a show soon. Usually they're closer to the 4th of July. So again, seeing some blooms definitely early in my area right now. And here are some more of those poppies. Very bright colored poppies. Again, not sure if I'm going to keep them, but they were on clearance and I thought I would give them a try since I don't have any poppies. And look at these verbena. Those are pretty. You know, I watch gardening on YouTube a lot, just like the rest of you. And what I have to say is I've heard a lot of people talking about having aphids in their gardens this year. And I have noticed that in my garden, they seem much more prevalent than they have in the past. So I'm wondering what your experience is, if that seems to be a pest that is much more common this year. It seems like there tend to be trends. So if you're experiencing that, let me know in the comments below what it's been like in comparison to other years in the past. Well, thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this tour. I know I take a lot of pleasure walking through the garden every day and enjoying the blooms and smelling what smells good and listening to the birds. Thanks again and see you next time. Bye.